Hey, I'm Brock with Brock Entertainment.
And I'm Amanda with Amanda Reed Weddings.
And this is the I Do IQ podcast, where each and every week we're going to be discussing the latest in wedding and event trends.
And we're going to let you know all the things that you need to know in order to make your event the most special.
Yeah, and in the end, you will have the best wedding and event experience ever.
And something tells me we're going to have a little fun along the way.
I don't know about that. I'm a pretty serious guy,
Yeah,
Amanda.
you kind of are.
And this is a serious topic, so only seriousness.
Serious business.
This is the I Do IQ podcast. Let's begin. Hey, it is Brock and Amanda with the I Do IQ podcast. Welcome. Oh my gosh. Did I introduce you again?
I can talk. Yes, I'm able to talk. I'm able to use my name. Thanks
Your
for
pretty
that.
face. That's what I have you here for.
My berry lipstick and my unpolished nails. That's me. Here I am.
No,
In all
welcome
my
to the show. We have a good one for you today. Amanda, I'll let you talk here. You can introduce our guest.
Thank
about
you. Yay. Okay, so this is my very dear friend and I don't know, business collaborator. I don't know what I don't want to, but she's the editor of Arkansas Bride magazine, and we've worked together for a long time now. I don't really know how long, but we've gotten to know each other quite well, personally and professionally. Miss Lindsay Irvin, I'm so happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled. This is an awesome podcast you guys have.
Well, that's what we like to think too, but
Brock has started this thing and he's literally a year in the making. He's been begging me to do this and he finally broke me down and here I am. So if it ever takes off and it's really big, of course it'll be my idea. But now that,
yes, of course.
Right now it's all him and he's dragging me along. So here I am. Yeah.
We like to kick the show off with a segment we call our obsessions. What are you obsessed with right now, Amanda?
I am obsessed, like every girl in the South, with my peonies, my flowers, my big, fat, fluffy, soft pink flowers. I've had them in my yard for, I think this is year 4. So they're supposed to take 3 years to really take off. They say slow, grow, show. So the first year they're slow, nothing happens. The second year they grow. The third year they actually supposedly show. I'm on year 4 and nothing's happened. But I have buds this year finally, and I'm so excited. I'm just like, every day I go out and check them to make sure that they're okay. Last night we had some frost, and I had them all covered up perfectly. So I'm obsessed with my flowers. I'm a 95-year-old Southern woman, I guess. But
you got a bunch of showers, not growers, huh?
I think I got some showers finally. Yep, I'm so excited about it. So I'm obsessed with my flowers, my yard.
I like that.
Yeah, I've got some spring fever going on for sure.
Are you sure that's not the corona?
I hope it's not the corona. I hope it's not the Rona.
Yeah,
if you're running a fever, you might need to go to the doctor.
It's just spring fever. It's just spring fever. Yeah.
All right, Lindsay, what are you obsessed with right now?
Well, it's a little bit less springy, but I'm really into black velvet right now. Anything velvet at all, really. But I'm super obsessed with black and velvet and the mixture. And it's just so luxe and romantic and soft. And it's just kind of making a comeback on the runway a little bit, and especially a little peek into the bridal world. And it's all I can think about. We just did a big Instagram post about it a couple days ago. And
are you wearing black velvet right now?
I would. Oh, that would be awesome. No, it would be a little hot, but
yeah, it would be a little hot.
I would love a black blazer in velvet. That would be a great moment. So
Brock is about to start singing.
I am about to start singing.
I knew you were.
Black velvet and that little boy smile. Like you cannot.
Well, to clarify,
sing.
let's say any color velvet.
I'm the same. I'm with you. I love some velvet.
Rust colored velvet. Oh, give me a break.
It's good. I've got a bride looking next spring to use like a mustard velvet, and it is so rich and luxe. I love it. I'm super excited. Definitely one you're going to want to watch for sure. One you're going to want to watch for. I love it. So cool.
Amanda's always given me the inside scoop on what to watch out for.
I try, but I get a lot from you though. You kind of look at things a little differently. So I think we both, we complement each other very well. Very well. Brock, what are you totally into these days?
Oh, okay. So this is a little bit weird. So I am vegan.
It's always weird.
I am into making different types of baked tofu.
Okay, that sounds really gross. I'm going to not lie.
Okay.
So the tofu
but I'll hear
that
you out.
Most people are accustomed to, and the reason they don't like it is a lot of restaurant tofu is very spongy and blah. So tofu has no flavor and it only absorbs what you mix it with.
Okay.
So the key to tofu, for anybody that wants to try tofu, is you got to press the water out of it because that is what causes it to be spongy.
Okay.
So when you press the water out of the tofu, then it makes it more, once you bake it, it makes it more like a solid. So it's not chewy. So I've been making a bunch of different tofu, and I like to over bake it to where it's crispy and just so good. So
I'm going
good.
to need a sample of this. I don't know that I would even know how to buy the right kind of tofu. So I think I need a little tutorial.
Extra firm. Press the water out. I'll make some and I'll bring it over and sit it in your yard.
Please do. Yeah. Keep it. I'll draw the line in the yard where you.
Do you like spicy food?
I do. I love spicy food.
Okay. Cause I like to make mine spicy.
Okay.
And it's super good, but I have a problem after I eat it, and you don't want to be around me for at least 6 to 12 hours.
Oh gosh, always. With
That's where I'll end it there.
Your butt issues, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get there.
That's all right. That's okay.
Lindsay. So tell us about Arkansas Bride Magazine.
What do you want to know?
Everything.
All the things. Tell us about you. How did you get into publishing? How did you tell us your backstory, all the things that everyone's dying to know about you and never thought to ask.
I'm not that interesting, but how did I get into this? It's actually, I went to the University of Arkansas, very proud, Woo Pig Suey, and found journalism there and worked on the student newspaper. When I graduated, I moved back to my hometown, Dallas, and got a job at the Dallas Morning News. And then, of course, got married to my college sweetheart, and we ended up back in Little Rock, back in Arkansas, pretty soon after we were married. And I got a job at Arkansas Business Publishing Group, where they have Arkansas Bride, and ended up as the assistant editor of that publication and a bunch of others. And then slowly but surely, actually not even that slowly, kind of like climbed the ladder into where I'm now. And I've been doing Arkansas Bride in total now for almost 11 years. And then I've been, almost 10 years at Arkansas Business. No. Oh goodness. You're making me think.
I know. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
I've been at Arkansas Business for 10 years. And so I've been editor for probably 8 years.
Really?
Of the magazine.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a while. Wow. So
that's awesome. That is awesome.
It's fun.
So what does an editor do exactly? What is that? I mean, I get that you edit, obviously, but what does that mean in the publishing world? What exactly does that mean? What kind of control do you necessarily have over the issue? I think of Devil Wears Prada, and she's got the September issue. That's what I imagine an editor to be.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. You know what? That's a funny question. I get that all the time. Like, what do you actually do?
Yeah.
You just write all the time. And you know what? Honestly, you're a good organizer. You are you're coming up with new ideas and creative ideas, and you're organizing that into how are we actually going to produce those and make those happen. You're not just writing stories, but I certainly do. I write a lot. I write the editor's letter. I write the weddings, and I have a small team that helps with the branding on our digital. So we have our blog, our website, and our social media. So we aren't just planning the magazine. We're planning like what we're going to put out there online as well. So it's a big job. And, again, those ideas could be anything from what we're going to do for our fashion shoot to what merchandise we're going to showcase in the trend section to what weddings we're going to pick, which is a big topic of conversation.
Big topic always. Yeah.
Yeah. And then really a lot of it too is like relationships, which is my favorite part, honestly. I mean, that's how we become close is
absolutely
getting to know everyone that you can in the wedding community in Arkansas and meeting the vendors who make these amazing weddings happen. Learning like what they're into, what they're seeing at market when they go to Chicago and Atlanta and New York. We've gone to bridal market to watch the runway shows ourselves and kind of see what's, coming to Arkansas about 6 months after that. That's always super fun, of course. Yep. Little trip to New York. No one's going to turn that down, right?
Never. I'm always down to join if you ever need an extra plus one. I'm always down to join.
Well, one of the cool things about those relationships is actually over the last couple market seasons, we've just had a vendor partner like unveiled or Tesori, or she said yes. One of our beloved bridal boutique owners take over our Instagram while they're in New York, and they're buying.
Love that, yeah.
And brides love that because they're seeing what goes into choosing the gowns they're going to bring home to Arkansas. and why they're choosing them, and meeting the designers through us or through the bridal boutique owner. So it's a really fun part of the job. But yeah, we do write a lot. We do copy edit. We look at pages in our red pen. And so there's a lot of that as well.
You make the pages bleed. You make the pages bleed. You really do. It's legit. You make the pages bleed with the red ink. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you mentioned kind of what you see coming and what you see out there and like what's like available to a bride in Arkansas. And I know something we actually talked about yesterday was a particular brand of dress that's not offered within our state walls. And how would you recommend that we talk to our vendors? Because it's Berta. You and I are both obsessed with everything Berta. It's one of our favorite brands. I know a lot of our boutique owners love it as well, but they've kind of shied away because it's maybe a little bit more expensive brand, a little more exclusive, and maybe not in the budget for a lot of. It's not a widely acceptable budget, I guess, for people for dresses. How can we talk somebody into having this brand in Arkansas? I think because we looked at several, and they're buying in Dallas, they're buying in Chicago, they're going away to buy these dresses. Mm-hmm. How can we get them in Arkansas? How do we convince some of these owners to pick up that brand? What's your advice there, Lindsay?
That is such a great question. It actually made, as soon as you started asking it, my mind started racing. There's so many angles we could talk about here, but first thing first is I totally agree with you. I feel like I hate when I see Arkansas brides go out of state for their gowns, because we have incredible gowns available right here in Arkansas. And not only that, but the people that own these bridal boutiques, they're amazing, all of them. And they're business people. So to answer your question, we can't really make them go carry a line where the gowns start at $7,000 to $8,000. Because as we know from our primary research, our brides are spending around $2,000 on their gown on average. It ebbs and flows every time we do our big poll. We do that every 2 to 5 years. We do a big survey of past brides. And so, our bridal boutique owners, they know that. They've done their own research. They live and breathe it. So they know what they can really buy. And, having gone to market, I know firsthand that when they're buying a gown, those are really expensive. Those samples that they buy from the designers, they're still paying, hundreds of dollars for that dress on the rack that you're trying on. That dress was bought and paid for. And so they're hoping that you and maybe 10 other brides in Arkansas order that gown over the next 6 months or a year before they phase it out to make it have worth the money that they bought. It's really the business side of the bridal gown industry is so fascinating. Actually, all of it is, but in particular, now for the designers that there's a bride or two out there, many more, that are obsessed with. Those 3 brands in particular, and you touched on one that I just wish we carried, and that's Berta and Inez de Santo.
Yes.
The best runway shows. And then In Ball Drawer.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I agree.
Their runway shows are always the most incredible. They're always a little extra sexy. They're definitely on the verge of the sexiest gowns, the most skin showing, which also isn't necessarily the Arkansas traditional Southern demure Arkansas bride. We know our readers, there's going to be that subset of girls that are going to be boho, that are going to be glam and sexy. And there's going to be the ones that want the very classic, almost a little vintage. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just very Southern bride. And so these bridal boutique owners, this is a very long answer. You're welcome.
No, it's good. You're doing great. This is good.
But they know their brides, they know their girls, which speaks to their ability to run these awesome businesses, but also just knowing their audience, knowing their girls. And so there's gonna be girls that want the gowns that aren't carried for sure. So my advice if I was a bridal boutique is I would look for those designers secondary lines. So Berta has a brand new line that I forget what the name. I don't have it handy.
I can't think of it either.
But it is adorable. It looks and feels like you see it, it's Berta. And I've dropped a couple hints to a couple of our bridal boutiques and said, hey, this would be great at your store. It fits your vibe. And I don't know, maybe they'll pick it up, but
I'm going to do the same. I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to get the same word out because I knowing that I've had out of the last, 2 years, I probably have had 5 to 10 girls in dresses like that, now that's just me. And I'm one planner out of, all the planners just within Arkansas. So, I mean, I'm a handful of it. I don't know that it would ever be a huge brand, but it would be so great to have that available in the state. I really would love to see that. So
yeah,
I love your answer though. I think that's good. And I think you're right. I think maybe finding some of those, is it Muse? I think it's Muse by Bird, right?
It is Muse.
Yeah,
you're right. Yes. Yeah. Oh, good
job,
yeah.
Amanda.
I just had to think. I had to think for a second, but that's what it was.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one. And then the other two I mentioned, I don't believe that they have their like secondary lines. They have like maybe more like reception options that are a little cheaper. But you mentioned pantsuits on one of the most recent podcasts.
Yeah.
And Inez DeCento, she loves a good pantsuit.
Love it.
With a lot of overlay skirts, so you could just like undo them, and so you can have both. You can have a little bit of both. So you would love that line.
Best.
But one of the other things I love to share with brides is, again, you do not have to go out of state for anything for Arkansas wedding. We have, I mean, honestly, we have some of the most incredible planners, photographers, boutiques, caterers. Like, we have some amazing food.
Oh, amazing.
You add some musicians. We are such a hidden gem as a state. And, my sisters, they're Texas and Colorado based, through both of their weddings, I'm like pushing them to hire people in Arkansas because one, they're often can be a little bit less expensive compared to big markets like a Dallas or a Denver. And also they travel, they'll go anywhere, and they have just as good as stuff at their stores. So I'm hardcore Arkansas all the way.
I love that. You are the biggest supporter of all of us. And I love that. It's felt for sure. So,
you know what, for guys in tuxes, there's two brands that I wish tux places would carry.
Okay.
Get ready. Bugle Boy for men and Oshkosh Bagosh for men. It's actually called Oshkosh Bagosh for older boys, but it's a men's line.
I think there's an outlet store in Little Rock that might have
Bugle Boy. Outlet. Where's a Bugle Boy suit? I want one now.
Oh my gosh, Bugle Boy. I've not heard that in 20 years. That's awesome.
You're welcome. Go ahead, Amanda.
I don't even know. You just distract me too much. I can't even talk. Oh my gosh. Well, let's talk
great menswear though too.
Yes, we really do. Yeah. We always focus on the girls, but you're so right. There's a lot of great menswear in the state. Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk a little bit, kind of talk about how you go about producing the magazine. Like, where do you start with your ideas? And this is could be a very long topic. I'm such a hand talker. Sorry. But where do you start? Where do you start with your ideas, and how do you begin to even formulate the way that the next issue is coming?
Well, fortunately, I'm extremely organized, and we have a division of multiple magazines, so we have to stay on schedule. We have a pretty clear, in January every year, a clear look at our year ahead. And that includes 2 editions of Arkansas Bride. So we start, if the issue that we're working on right now, actually this one's coming out in the beginning of June, we're deep into it already. We should be. Maybe it doesn't sound like that abnormal to anybody listening, but we started in January with our initial planning meeting. And to prepare for that, I plan in November, December, as the current issue is hitting shelves, I'm already starting to think about what I want to do for the next one. And Lydia, my right hand, she and I, we sit down and we kind of brainstorm, and we bring our ideas to the planning meeting. And fortunately, we don't get a lot of resistance. Like, people seem to like our ideas.
They're usually pretty good. Yeah, they're usually pretty on target. I love that.
And so, I do like a really fun presentation. Everyone really likes that. And then we launch. We start making sure we have our photographers booked. We have our sales team excited and energized to go talk to our partners and potential new partners and really tell them like what our mission is, which is more than just like, give us your money for an ad. It's like, okay, look, hey, let's join forces. How can we help you promote your business? Our brides want to know about you. Like, our brides are desperate to know about you. Mm-hmm. Come be a part of this. You don't plan a wedding in Arkansas without our magazine. It's the Arkansas Bridal Bible, right? So we want you to get out there in front of those girls on social and in print. So we have a whole part of the planning process that's just about that stuff. And then we schedule our shoots. We start working with our bridal boutiques and our florists and our venue people on where are we going to shoot these things. And when you need to be where with what gowns. And so we do fun tear sheets, and I wish I had some handy, but you could probably flash them up later and post.
Yeah.
But I could show you some of we call them tear sheets, and they're basically just really pretty inspiration boards that we give our florists and event designers and bridal boutiques as they prepare for their contributions. Because we ask for our florists, like the event planners, Amanda knows this firsthand, to create stuff for each issue. We want to promote them and we want them to show off their creativity. So again, you're right. It's a long answer because it's a big book. But I think one of our least favorite things to work on, but it's like our most like important, is we have a list of over 500 Arkansas vendors listed in each issue.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Venues, caterers, musicians, not to mention all of our partners listed in the back that run the gamut from rentals and catering and everything in between. I mean, just, and again, our brides are like combing through that, finding things, and we try to organize it really helpful for them. But that's not as fun and creative to work on, but it's so important.
It's necessary though. It's it's a good tool. I mean, I've even used it in the past for certain things. I'm like, okay, I'm working in that part of the state. What's Arkansas Bride recommend? Let me just start with that. Like, who are their partners in that part of the state? So I definitely utilize that. It's okay. I definitely utilize that tool.
So when you're getting a new issue ready, where do you go to for inspiration?
I mean, I don't just like, oh, new issue time, let's get inspired. I look for inspiration every single day. I'll be in the shower thinking of ideas. I'll be on my phone on Instagram and I'll run across something that somebody's posted in, I mean, I don't even know who they are, but they've posted something just beautiful. It's like shiny object. Oh, yeah. And then I'll screenshot it and save it. And so then later, you just kind of peruse through all those things that like caught your eye that were beautiful or interesting or different. And you just kind of pick and choose what you want to show brides out there, especially for the floral and fashion section. Yeah.
I love that. So so each issue you do, and I'll let you share like what one of them might be, but the Tablescapes section. So you have an inspiration. Where does that even come from when you start to do that? And I'll let you kind of explain what that is, but like, where do you find that inspiration for that? I think is, how do you decide that it's going to be pink is our color? We're going to, how does that even come about? And how many ideas do you go through in order to even land on the one that works?
This is going to sound probably a little ego-y, but after a while, you just kind of know what's next.
Yeah.
That's going to sound crazy to anyone listening, but
no.
I remember when Lydia first started, she asked me something similar to that. She asked me like, how do you brainstorm for all this, or how do you come up with these ideas? And I was thinking, I'm like, I kind of just know what's next. Like we did blue and pink and yellow, and this time it's definitely green. Just feel it. You feel like what's out there. You feel what you've been seeing, and so you've been paying attention. I mean, as an editor, you have to be reading other magazines, watching the news or whatever your topic you're covering. And I'm covering bridal stuff, right? So you have to live and breathe it truly to do, I think, a good job. And so when you ask about Tablescapes particularly, we started that concept probably 8 issues ago or more, maybe 12. About 6 years, probably been doing that. And we've kind of we did Tablescapes inspired by dreamy honeymoon locations and by fabric swatches. We've done things. And so when it comes to a new issue, I'm thinking, what have we not done? What have we seen that we're loving right now? What season is it? What are brides seeming to be doing right now? We'd like to do maybe something different so they see something new. So it's not like this one place that I go and I just pull out of the hat. It's just kind of when the time comes, certain ideas just like automatically rise to the top, and we discuss them and we go forth with like sort of a gut reaction. Like when people even on a meeting, I know that idea is going. When it's crickets in a meeting, I know like, okay, no, like that. We're done.
Try again next time. Okay. That's funny. Okay.
How many weddings do you go to a year yourself?
I don't actually go to many weddings. That's like the naughty little secret or the dirty little secret we're not supposed to talk about. No, we can totally talk about it. We don't go to weddings.
I don't get invited to weddings. I'm working.
Because we're working. Yeah. I tell people I don't go to weddings unless you're paying me to be there. So
that's funny. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I ever have to be a bridesmaid again, I want to get paid.
Right.
Agreed with that for sure.
No, so I don't really go to that many weddings. However, that's a really popular question because I think some brides think that they need to invite us to have us there to take their photos and be featured.
Really?
And that's absolutely not how we work. That's how you get featured in the newspaper if you want to be featured in the newspaper with your wedding. However, for us, we just ask for after your wedding's over, your photos are back from your photographer, share the link with us and we can review it. And we gather them. We don't just look at them every time someone sends us an email. We don't stop and review them, but we have these two major gathering moments where we stop and we review them. And we get so many. This is a good segue into that conversation.
Yeah, that was the very next question. Because I know we could talk about that all day long. So yeah, that's the question. And I get asked this, I would say 90% of my brides. Okay, how do I get featured? How do I get picked for a magazine? I want to be published. And that is, I have the answers that I give. I kind of have my standard answers. Well, this is this, but I would love for you to be able to speak directly to these girls and tell them, what do you need to do? How do you get featured? So the floor is yours, Brock. If you want to add to that, by all means. But I just want to let you, Lindsay, just go for it and dive right in because I think that's why people they're curious. They really want to know.
Yeah. How do you get featured?
Yeah.
Well. Let me take a sip of coffee.
Take a sip.
Wet that palate. Get it ready for the long answer that we're about to delve into.
Yes.
It's, honestly, it's really not that long of an answer. Hire a great photographer, first of all.
Yes.
And again, Arkansas has no shortage of amazing photographers. You can't skip on that. I mean, that's my go-to. Somebody asked me the other day, what's your go-to advice? Oh, I did a fun little Instagram advice thing for one of our photographers, actually, Alex Vilar. And he asked me, what's your go-to piece of advice? And it's always hire a good photographer, hire a videographer. This is the one day and it flies by and you're going to want to relive it. So for a number of reasons, hire a good photographer. But for a wedding selection, it's even more important. Look at current issues that we've done. Look at the kind of photography that looks best in there. Look at the wedding photos we selected from each of those brides. Notice what we're using. We're not using the photos of you and your bridesmaids getting ready. We love those and we put them on our website later, but we feature ideas for our brides. We want to show them new things, pretty things. Not every bride is going to want to be super creative. Some are going to want to be really traditional. So we have, not only do we need you to have ideas, we also need you to just have really great photos of your normal ideas or just your normal decor. So number one tip is hire a great photographer. The number two tip would be to do your homework and just see what you want your photographer to make sure to hone in on. If they're a great photographer, and when I say great, I don't mean, National Geographic great. I mean, wedding great.
Right.
There's definitely a difference. And I learned this. It's so funny that I just threw out the National Geographic example because that is exactly what I did wrong with my wedding. Is I just come out of journalism school. I wanted a magazine photographer. Know what I was doing. This was before Arkansas Bride. And I hired a guy that was featured National Geographic, who did magazines in Dallas. And there were so many little wedding things that he just didn't do right because he doesn't know weddings. He knows magazines. He knows, and I thought I was this journalism person, no idea what I was doing. So I love to share that advice because I learned the hard way.
Your photographer was like, I want you and your bridesmaids to gallop across the field right here. Oh, that's beautiful. I got the sun. Now all the groomsmen, roar, give me a bit loud roar.
Lindsay, I did something similar though. My photographer for my wedding was a movie photographer. So he took stills during filming. So the picture of John Travolta up against the bar for Urban Cowboy. That's my wedding photographer. He took that image.
That's
right?
amazing.
Right. But, and when I got married, I'm ancient. So, it's been a million years, but mine was at the very beginning of the kind of lifestyle photography. So the pictures in action and things like that. But what I don't have is beautiful posed pictures of my family. Because that wasn't his wheelhouse. He took great action shots and they were amazing. And the lifestyle and which is very popular now. But there's something to be said for having an album with with Nana and Papa and Aunt Susie and like all those people, I don't have that at all. Like and what I do have is not great because that's not his expertise. So I completely second what you're saying. I always want brides to splurge on the photography. It's worth every penny. You've got to have somebody who is a professional for a multitude of reasons. But I love that you touched on that, your own experience with that. So very cool.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again,
sorry, don't mean to interrupt you.
No, please interrupt because I'm long-winded. I get excited at these things, and
that's why you're here, though. Yeah.
To get featured, you definitely want to have the idea. Like I do love when brides are like, I want to get featured. How do I do that? And they talk to their planners about it because that's not a tip that I generally share because not everyone's going to be able to afford a wedding planner or to be able to do all those ideas. So I think the easiest way to go beyond that first initial advice, which is hire a great photographer and kind of do your homework on the kind of photos you need to be submitting, detail shots and things that show like in it. Because we're not going to be able to feature a 500-foot picture. We feature, I think, between 8 to 15 in each real wedding.
Right.
That's it. So dial it down to that many photos. And did we get the essence of your day? Right. That makes sense. Like when I'm scanning, I can scan an album and know pretty quick. Like we can go through, now sometimes people submit the whole gallery and have to go through so many pictures that aren't even relevant. So I can't always, but for the most part, if someone sends me like a gallery of 50 pictures, I can scan it. I can even like unfocus my eyes and generally know if it's going to be featured. That again, It sounds like an ego moment, but truly like I'm doing this for 8+ years. So I can feel if the essence is going to come across in print or not. And there's times we'll get a magazine, we'll have mock one up and we'll be like, what, this one doesn't translate. It looks amazing when you have the whole gallery and you have all the images together. Amazing wedding. But when you dial it down to just the detail shots or just what we would typically use, it just doesn't come across and we've had to change. Usually we do that pre-selection period if we're on the fence about a few. Anyway, but so my other tips would be beyond that is to go ahead and think about, what are you doing different that's super personal? If you aren't infusing you and your groom into your day and you're creating an event, a wedding that's more for your mom and her friends and what they like. If the day is not centered around you and your groom and who you are to the core as a couple and as people, it's fairly obvious. Again, we look for a mix of things. So we aren't always going to go for just like the super most creative because there's creative weddings we haven't used. Some brides really do want the traditional. So we want to show that as well. However, some of the weddings that have the best chance are those ones infused with just so much personality. So yes, infuse your wedding with personality and make it about you guys. And it's going to shine through. You're going to see the love more in the pictures. There's going to be more emotion. Going to be a better wedding in general, but it'll obviously work better for us. And it kind of is a good segue for us in this conversation to talk about how we pick weddings more so than tips for them to try to get picked. I could give you a little inside scoop on how we select them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we do get those emails from photographers or brides where they're really disappointed and it breaks our heart. But, we get the inside story is we get close to 200 every single issue.
Really?
Just to be considered. Not to mention the weddings we get throughout the year where brides aren't really aware of the submissions time. So we have so many to comb through. And we don't want to not pick any. We want to feature them all. They all deserve to be featured. We're excited for all of you getting married. So it's a hard spot. But here's the secret. We have to pick weddings that appeal to our broad audience. And like I said before, we're going to have girls that are going to be more traditional. We're going to have brides that are going to be more the party girl that's going to want to have the big band and she's going to dance and drink with her girlfriends and their friends. And it's going to be really colorful. So we have to pick diversity. So we need diversity in people, diversity in the region of this. Like we're featuring not just Central Arkansas, we're featuring Southeast Arkansas, Northeast Arkansas, Hot Springs area, Northwest Arkansas. We want to have girls from all across the state featured. So we have to take that into consideration. We could fill the magazine with all Fayetteville weddings. We could. Every issue, it could just be all Fayetteville great weddings. So there are going to be Fayetteville girls that had amazing weddings that aren't going to get in because we want to make sure Hot Springs girls and Stuttgart girls and Jonesboro girls get in there too, as much as possible. we obviously want to showcase diverse themes and diverse colors. We don't want blush, 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 blush. We want to do, we're going to have brides that are going to plan weddings in every different color palette you can think of. So we wanted diversity in like the theme and vibe as you turn the page. So you're getting, just the colors changing and just the theme and the aesthetic of the whole wedding changing offers a whole new perspective to a bride planning her wedding. Even the color can be the idea. So we want to diversify that as well. So it's a puzzle. So we can't just pick, and we don't want like 7 weddings from the same venue. Man, there's some venues that they get on a hot streak, and it's just every wedding we get from there. Well, how are we supposed to do? All of your weddings from there. So that is always tricky, and that's easy to explain. Like, well, we had 6 weddings from the Clinton Library. We can't run all of them. We have to pick, our favorites, but then also factor in the puzzle I previously mentioned, which is diversity in color, diversity in people, the types of vendors they hired. Some of these people will have these people. Some of our brides will have amazing weddings, but they hired everyone from Dallas.
Right.
And that doesn't do our Arkansas girls reading our magazine. It doesn't do them any favors to read that they hired so-and-so from Louisville, so-and-so from Nashville. While their wedding was absolutely perfection, it just doesn't service our readers who are looking for people to hire in Arkansas for their local wedding. So that's a bit of the puzzle piece that we deal with every single issue and why there's so much heartbreak, which just hurts my heart.
No, I like that you said that, though, that you feature the weddings that feature Arkansas. That makes a lot of sense, and it's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most important thing. I mean, that's what makes our magazine so helpful to our brides and to our partners. I mean, if it wasn't, we want to put, our brides are reading this book. They're getting it at anywhere across the state. It's listed on our site where they can find it. I mean, it's all over. They're going to grab it if they're getting married, right? So why would we want to excessively promote out-of-state businesses?
Right.
We want to push them to our local business owners, and our brides want that. Again, we always keep our reader at the heart of everything, and what do they need and what do they want? And of course, they want to know who they can hire in Little Rock to do their catering. They live in Little Rock. They don't want to see that someone's caterer was from New York City. I mean, it's cool if it was. In some way, it's kind of cool, but
it's not practical for most brides. I get that.
Yeah, but we certainly do not discriminate. If we have an amazing wedding that we're just obsessed with, and it has filled with ideas that's just they're too good to pass up, we're not going to let it go because a photographer was from out of state. We're going to feature it. There's too much good in there. They use some local vendors. The ideas are so exciting. Our readers will love it. So again, there's that central focus is our reader. So I hope that makes sense. But we have some rules, but they're not hard and fast. So we will break them every now and then because it's what our reader wants.
Right. That's good. Okay. That was a great answer. Yeah, that was a great answer.
It's very good. How do you, you have single page, double page, and triple, sometimes, 3-page spreads. How do you really hone it down to what that looks like? How do you really narrow it down to I have an obvious answer. There's more great images, but I have seen amazing weddings that I'm surprised they get picked sometimes. I'm like, really? That one over that one? Mm-hmm. Okay, it's fine. I know you always have something different in mind, but how do you kind of allot, and there may not be an answer to this, but how do you allot different page quantities to different weddings? And maybe that all goes along with everything you've already said, but I'm curious as to that as well. Because I know sometimes people are like, well, I thought they were going to, we're going to be a big feature, and they just made this one page.
Yeah.
No shade there. I'm just posing the question. I'm curious.
No offense, Peyton. I don't care. We've made, and you know what? I have had moments where I'm like, oh, yeah, that really, it didn't play out. It's actually those mistakes have taught me, like I said earlier, to be able to identify sooner that something's not going to translate once it's in print. It is gorgeous on the screen, but it's a little sleepy, once you put it in print. Right. So to answer your direct question, how do you make the page allotments? the cool thing is we don't have like a set like number every issue, like exactly we need two 3-pager weddings, 10 2-pagers. We don't have that rule. So I can base it on like what weddings we're loving and what photography that we've got from those weddings and like how many ideas. So the 3-pagers, what we do, and we don't always do that. I think maybe one issue or two, but we took a break because we wanted to feature an extra wedding and we had to like, it's sort of, again, I use the word puzzle all the time, but that's exactly what it is. So we have to make those kind of decisions. Do we want an extra wedding or do we want to blow a couple of these weddings up bigger? And those weddings that we tend to give more space to, they certainly just have a lot more ideas, or they have, it has to be the ideas. There's really no other thing to say. They have just more detailed shots to showcase.
You definitely, for a while, it seemed that we're kind of going more towards a DIY or a handmade feel in some weddings, but I feel like it maybe has gone away from that in the images that I've seen in the most recent issues. Can you speak to that? Does it matter if someone has a planner? Does it matter if it looks like they did a lot of this on their own? And maybe there's a little bit of both, but I'm curious as to that. I mean, if you get a wedding that obviously did not have a planner, how do you feel? How to react to that? What's your thought there?
Well, oh my gosh, you know what's so funny that you're asking me that? I thought about this when you said, think about some things you may want to share on the podcast. And one thing that came to mind was that I actually am so excited to say this. I don't see a lot of that anymore. Like I really clearly remember seeing our vendor list come through. Like when people submit their wedding to us, they give us a list of who they used, who they hired. And that does help us make our decisions too. Like I said, if they have a lot of people that we are in the state. I can remember seeing like Aunt Sally did my flowers and no offense, Aunt Sally, they were gorgeous.
Sure.
And, my cousin made the cake and all of that. I feel like I saw that so much in my early days. And I just happened to, the thought popped into my head between the day you asked me to do this and today that, man, I just don't see that anymore. Like when we go through vendor lists, I see so many brides. I don't think there may be one or two weddings this issue that we've selected that did not have a wedding planner.
Yeah, really?
And it stands out to me. Yeah, I mean, it's different. It's new, and I'm thrilled about it because these weddings that's why there's so many more weddings to choose from now. And it makes my job harder. Girls are hiring professionals for whatever reason. Maybe, it's gotten more competitive in Arkansas. And so people have had to lower their prices. I don't know. That's not that side of the business. Or brides are just really wanting to be featured more than they used to. Maybe it's the selfie culture, right? There's a number of reasons why brides are wanting planners more than ever in Arkansas. But from the time I started as editor to now, in the last 2 or 3 years, it is it's substantial, the difference between the DIY brides and the ones hiring all professionals. And again, I don't know exactly why, but I love it and it makes me happy.
So do I. Thank you. Yes. Keep us busy for sure. That's good to know though, because I would say a few years ago, it felt like, even though we were submitting good stuff, maybe a DIY kind of thing was being chosen. And it makes me happy to hear that though, that people are valuing the professionalism that a planner and a planning team and real vendors. I have no shade to a friendor. There's some really good stores out there. Sometimes I'm surprised, but often I'm like, yeah, well, your Aunt Sally did make the cake, but guess what? It's also leaning, and I have to hide that fact that cake is leaning. I have to disguise the fact that it can't be shown. Or your DJ was your brother's cousin's roommate. I mean, that kind of stuff. We run into that, and so Brock, brother's cousin's roommate,
right?
But I mean. That kind of stuff, it makes our job more difficult, but I think it also eventually parlays into this could have been by choosing a different florist, by choosing a more professional across the board, you might have actually gotten yourself published, even on doesn't mean the budget is huge or smaller or whatever. It just means that you use the right professionals to do the job. So I love that you said that. I really do.
Yeah. And for sure that there are brides that they have really talented family and friends and they should use them and save the money. Right.
Sure.
But we're talking, getting featured. And so in that regard, your professionals are going to have the eye for how to get featured. They're going to have the world-class ideas that that's their job. That's their skill. That's their talent. That's what they're paid to do, is come up with cool ideas, come up with new ideas constantly, which I want to talk to you about that. Like, you're asking me, but that's how I feel when I look at y'all's work. I think, wow, that's what I'm looking at when I look at pictures and I'm planning an issue. It's y'all's work. It's the work of our wedding professionals out in Arkansas that are inspiring us too. Yeah. I think that needs to be said, is a lot of the inspiration we get is from the work that y'all are doing.
That's awesome. That's good to know, because I feel like, a lot of times we're driven by, how do we get this girl in a magazine? How do we get our work featured? I think about, I had something really good. I just lost it. Going back to I'm pausing for you, Brock, so you can
smile, but don't do this. Smile.
Sorry.
And then start.
Oh, that's right. Because we've got to actually use this anyway. But I think that goes back to utilizing the professional photographer, because sometimes I've had a wedding that it's amazing and it's perfect and all the details are there and it's so good, but the photographer missed it all. And, I'm like, they can't publish based on the iPhone pictures that I took. Great, I've got a good phone, but it's not the same as that amazing camera that they're using. And they missed all of the amazing details because of whatever reason, but, because they didn't have the right photographer capturing this. Yeah. So that is something that I wouldn't say I run into often, because thankfully couples are educated about that, or they're becoming more educated about the value in using the right vendors. But I definitely run into that though before. And I had one a couple years ago that you were like, I love everything about this wedding. I hate the edit that the photographer put on it. I can't publish this. I can't put it in there because the way it looks in comparison to everything else in the issue, it looks like these pictures were dipped in mud. And I can't the edit, and
I did not say that.
You didn't say that, but I mean, essentially, you know what I mean? The photos didn't translate to what everything else was happening in the issue.
For sure.
I said that the dipped in mud thing, that was me. That was not you. And it was not an Arkansas
We've been braver. Yeah, we've been braver now. And been hey, photographer, we love this wedding. Can you tweak the lighting? Can you tweak the filter? Whatever photo mojo magic that you've done.
Right.
We love it. We're in awe of this wedding, but could you tweak it a little bit? We've asked, we do that probably once or twice an issue.
Really?
Even on weddings that don't even on ones you wouldn't maybe imagine we'd have to, but, printer, this is like a mass printing press, right? And so there's a lot of different things. I'm not super well versed in all the terms, but there are so many different things that our art director, our designer, and our production manager are on the lookout for when they do press check. And so we've definitely have learned what to ask photographers to start tweaking in advance, so that they're not just completely nixed from consideration. Because again, this is art. This is their art. And so while we do not want to change it, and that was our initial this won't work. Sorry, we love it, but no. We realized that I think they're willing to compromise a little on their art if it means getting published.
Do you ever get pushback? Yeah.
Sorry?
Do you ever get pushback from photographers on that? The ones that are like, no, this is how it's supposed to be. I don't want to change it.
Never.
Really?
Never. And I think we assumed that is exactly the reaction we would get. And this is we're talking maybe 5 or 6 times we've ever done this or had to do this. Because again, photography styles, they ebb and flow. We could talk. We're going to have to do 7 of these podcasts. Oh,
I know. We could do this all day.
Photography styles have changed from the time that I started to now. When I first started, it was 2009, 2010.
Oh, it's dramatically
such
different.
A dramatic lighting, heavily saturated in sunlighty filter things. Gorgeous, loved it. But now, just over the course of the last 6-7 years, natural light photography is overtaken, and it naturally is a better fit per print. So we don't have to ask for that a lot, because natural light is the queen bee right now of what people want for their weddings. Eventually it'll start going back to being more dramatic. These things always are cycles on what's hot and what's not. Film right now is everything. And so that prints really well. Sometimes a little grainy, but that's the intention, right? So sometimes you have to be careful there, but, it's such a fun process working on this book. Again, there's so many things we could go into detail on, but we we do not get pushback from the photographers when we ask them to make little tweaks, because they get why we're asking. We're not being rude. We're very polite about it, and we're wanting to promote them. We want to give them publicity, and it pays dividends. I mean, when your weddings are featured, we see it from when you suddenly change your style. We've had people experiment with new styles, and they suddenly kind of drop off, and we don't get as many weddings from them anymore. We see all these weird cycles in the industry. It's really, I could write a book. One day I maybe will.
Maybe you should. I like that. We'd all read it. I'd be there for the signing for sure.
You'd be the only one in line. So don't even.
Amanda, do you have any more questions before we get to the opinion section?
I mean, I do, but I think the question I want to ask is its own issue or its own podcast. So I think we can come back to that one another day.
I think definitely.
Oh, now I need to know what it is.
Nope.
I'm not allowed.
We'll tell you off the air.
Yeah, I'll tell you off the air, because I do think it's one that it could really be a long topic, and I don't want to get into that because it will be a long one. So I think we dive into our kind of this or that.
Yeah, wedding opinions. We have 3 wedding questions. Amanda, I'll let you start.
I'm going to ask about the traditional stuff.
Okay.
What do you think? How do you feel about a cake cutting? Do you think it's necessary, or do you think it's kind of a passé thing?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. No, I'm asking you.
She's already heard from me.
Yeah, I know his opinion about this.
Oh, okay. Cake cutting?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't really have an opinion on the cake. I love cake. Cake. I vote wedding cake over pies any day, although, oh my gosh, pies are amazing. Always both. All the desserts.
All of the above. All the sweets.
Yeah.
Hey, I wonder if they ever made a wedding cake pie. So it goes pie, cake, pie, cake.
It's like
how would that work?
Like a tofurkey?
Yeah, how would that even work?
I don't know.
Cut it open, and in the inside, there's cake and apple pie?
Well, if Fortune Crust makes it, I'll eat it. I don't care what it is.
We're all lined up. We're all lined up for it. I love it.
But no, I don't have any, it's the garter toss, but I'm like, let's cut that out.
Yes.
Well, that was the next question.
Garter
That's
toss.
the next one.
What do you think? Bouquet or garter toss? What do you, yay, nay?
Nay to both. Get rid of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I hate those.
It's time for something new.
Right.
Yeah.
Like maybe you punch your best man in the face, or, I don't know. I'm spitting out ideas. If you like them, take them. If you don't, shoot them right back.
Yeah, we actually just did I think my editor's letter, actually in our most recent issue that's still out right now, was the rules are meant to be broken. First of all, there are no rules. There are traditions, but those aren't rules. And so I kind of was playing up like the rules are meant to be broken. And that whole garter toss, let's single out the single people. Let's like sex up the dance floor with a garter moment. Like I'd rather play some Usher and dance a little more provocative than do the garter toss.
Yes.
If it was me. But
amen.
Yeah. That is just my opinion.
No, it's a shared opinion between the three of us. So I think that Brock is on board with that as well. He's ready to see it die for sure.
So what about this? A big over-the-top party wedding or an intimate gathering of your closest friends and family? Which one?
I'm a Dallas girl deep down, so I have to say big over the top. But
everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah, well, and I love these. I love an intimate elopement moment with a big party later. Can I say
there that? There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, because, ceremonies are so short. Spending a lot of money on those could be, for the audience, isn't necessarily necessary. Maybe save your money for the band, the food, the taco truck, whatever. Yeah, I like a big party, though.
Okay. And Amanda, I'll let you ask the last one.
Oh, I don't have another one. Hold on. Let me look one more time, see if I've got another. Unless you've got a really good one you want to ask her.
What's your favorite send-off? We'll end with that. What's your favorite send-off?
There you go.
At a wedding.
I don't see many good ones, really. They're all the same.
What about this? What about this question? When you get photos and you see send-offs, which one do you like the best?
Hold on. She just lost.
Okay.
My earpods are dying. So here I'm on regular audio. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. So ask your question again, Brock.
All right. So when you get photos and you see some of these exits, which ones do you like the best and which ones photograph the best for the magazine?
Good question.
I have a great answer.
Yay.
What is it? Yay.
Amanda Reed, this amazing wedding planner.
Who is that girl?
No, actually, there's a wedding that we really, really like.
Listen up, Brock. Listen up.
Where she, I don't know if it was your idea for the brides, but they did like a powder puff color canyon. And that was really memorable. You're going to have to get a picture of it and flash it because it was really great. It was rainbow colored. And honestly, like I wanted to run the wedding just for that one photo because I loved it so much. So I liked that idea.
It was so good. Okay. Thanks for that. Cause that just happened to be you, babe. Yeah. I appreciate that. I do. This was not pre-planned. This was not endorsed. This is like, thank you for that. Yes, it was me. Thank you for that. I had to talk her into that. She kind of was like, nah, we don't have to do that. And I was like, no, we have to do that. Like, this is going to be amazing. And it was so her. That's what was so fun about that. Awesome. So yeah, it was a little scary.
The confetti too gets me still because those make for really pretty photos. But
they do.
Or like the streamers, like the metallic stringy stringers, just because it's a little different. But I don't think the send-offs are like, people don't really mix it up much. It's very rare to see something different. New, so.
Well, it's hard because a lot of venues don't allow many options. And so, there's only so many things you can throw without hurting somebody. So I think there's, you're kind of limited in what you're able to do. So good answer though, especially since it related to me. Very good answer.
Oh, that is just luck right there. But yeah, that one really stands out. And I will say this, I do like when the brides, I think this is great for photography, like brides who want that keepsake moment. I can throw myself under the bus too, but like you're going to get that, if you're going to do the send off late at night, you're going to get that like darker, you're going to get the dark photography. It's with the flash and stuff. And so I really like when the brides do their little confetti or streamer moment or the powder puff. What do you call that?
It's smoke bombs.
Smoke bombs.
Yep.
Oh. Right after the ceremony, like have the guests line up.
Agreed. Mm-hmm.
And that way you get these gorgeous photos of it. And just at the end of the reception, do like tequila shots or something and leave.
Right. Yeah, agreed. I'm pushing hard for that. I'm pushing hard for that though, because I agree completely with that statement.
Yeah. So for the photo, it's everything for the sake of the selfie or the photo, right? But
it's all about the Instagram. It's all about the grid for sure.
It'd be great for video. You'd line up like 1,000 black cats and light them off all at once. Freak people.
Yes.
Typical guy reaction.
Oh, geez.
Complete guy reaction.
Lindsay, you're amazing. It's been awesome talking to you. And there's so many more questions we have for you. So we'll make another episode of this for sure. And maybe we'll do it in person next time and not through Zoom.
I know.
That'd be awesome.
I'm glad you guys are safe and well. And thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. Amanda, any last words from you, as always?
Never. Oh, just don't be like the rest of them, darling. Don't be like the rest of them.
Oh, love it. Thank you so much for listening. This is I Do IQ. Thanks so much for listening, and make sure to subscribe and expect a new exciting episode each and every week. Please follow us on social as well at I Do IQ Podcast. If you have a guest recommendation or a topic you would like to hear discussed on the podcast, please let us know. The I Do IQ Podcast is recorded at the most amazing studio in Northwest Arkansas and by the most amazing and best looking people in all the world, Go Rogue X. You can follow them on social as well at Go Rogue X, or visit them online at GoRogueX.com. They truly are amazing, and if you're looking to start a podcast, they are your go-to people. Also, a big shout out to our creative people, David Kinney from Forward, all the way from the great state of Michigan. You can check his website out, theforwardcreative.com, for all your logo and design needs. And for more information on Brock and Amanda, please visit djbrockentertainment.com and amandareedweddings.com. Thank you again, and we'll see you on the next episode.